Hey everyone, welcome to Wolfpain's Gaming Den. Today I have a quick review for you guys for Crash Pandas, a game I picked up recently. It's a fairly light card-driven game for 2 to 4 players. It's expected to play in roughly about 20 odd minutes, give or take. It's a family-weight game that's very easy to teach, very fast to play as well, and could be a good gateway for younger gamers. So let's go to the table. Take a quick look at how the game works, and then I'll share my thoughts about what I liked and did not like about the game. So, welcome to the table. Here we have the game set up for 2 players. We'll quickly go through what the setup looks like before running into the rules itself. The game comes with a set of 6 tokens, 1 die, and a set of cards. Take the 1 reference card that comes in it, and there's only 1 copy of one of these, and it's easy to identify because it's double-sided. Put it aside. Give it to somebody who might be new to the game because it just walks you through what the different actions could be taken. You will shuffle up the cards and then have a draw pile. Depending on player count, in this case we have it set up for 2 players. The first player will get 3 cards, so I'm saying that I'm the first player and I have 3 cards. The second player will get 4 cards. If you're playing with more players, each additional player in clockwise turn order will get 1 extra card. So third player will get 5 cards, and the 4th player will get 6 cards. Once you've handed out the cards, put the token in close reach of all the players and the die is somewhere nearby as well, and you're ready to go. Crash Pandas is basically a game where you're looking to collect sets which you will score at the end of the game. The cards themselves can either be played for actions or what's called stashing a card. So you'll sort of like be creating a pile for yourself on the side, and that will score for you at the end of the game. So a turn order is very simple. You will take the die, you will roll it. Whatever value comes up, you will take that particular token, and then you have a choice. You can continue to push your luck and continue rolling to see if you can pick up additional tokens from here for actions, or you can choose to stop. So in this case, let's say if I choose to continue, I might get this, and I pick this up. I might choose to continue again. I might get this, pick this up, go again. As soon as you come across a value for a token that you already have, you're considered to have busted. What that basically means is, and we'll look at the card actions at the end of the game. So everything I talk about now is excluding the card actions. So if you ever bust, what it basically means is you return all the tokens back and you don't get to do the action. As a consolation, if you ever bust, you will draw 1 card from the trash can or the draw deck and take it in your hand. Whenever something refers to a trash can in the game, you're talking about the draw deck itself. So that's if you bust. But on the other hand, let's say if I did not bust and whatever set of tokens I've collected, and whenever I choose to stop, I will then be able to do the actions on those tokens. So let's have a look at what the tokens do. And there are 6 of these that correspond to each of the 6 sides of the die. So first off, you have the 2 trash cans. If you want to do this action, or if you are doing this action, you will basically draw 2 cards from the trash can or the draw deck into your hand. Easy enough. If you're doing the action that has the 2 tree symbols, this is the stash action. So this is where you can take cards from your hand and you will stash it into your pile. So in this case, I have 3 cards. I might choose to stash this over here, and we'll talk about the set collection aspect a little bit later. And 2 basically here means you can do it up to 2 cards, so I can choose to do 1 or none or both if I want. This gives you a choice. You can either draw a card or stash a card. This allows you to steal a card from your opponent, so you will randomly steal 1 and take it into your hand. So you're taking from their hand onto yours. This is sort of like a bandit action. When you're doing this action, the first thing you will do is you will draw a card, put it face up at the center so that everybody sees which card has been drawn, and then you take it into your hand. So this is where because most of the time the card is private information, but this is one where others will see which card has come into your hand. Once you've done that, in turn order, everybody else has the option to stash a card. So basically do one of these actions. They may choose to do it or they may not choose to do it. If they don't do it, nothing happens. But if anybody does a stash action for 1 card, for every person who stashes a card, you get to draw 1 card from the draw deck into your hand. And then lastly, you have the recycle symbol. So whenever you're choosing different tokens from the supply, or you're getting different tokens from the supply, at some point you may choose to stop. So let's say I got these three and I stopped and these three were not chosen. What this basically does, it allows me to swap this token with any one of the tokens that was not chosen on that turn. So I could turn this in and get this one basically. And now I can do these three actions. Keep in mind that if I used one of the tokens I had chosen, it does not become available again for this particular one. This is only for tokens that were not chosen at all. Does not include tokens that may have been used on the same turn. So that's basically your turn order. Two key other items that we should go through at this point are how does the set collection work and what are the actions of the card themselves. So let's start by looking at the set collection aspect. So here we can see examples of what cards may look like. Some cards will have, here we go. Some cards may have points printed in a banner on the top left. Other cards would have nothing associated with it. So let's put this to the side and let's have a look at this one first. What this basically tells you is how this set of card will score at the end of the game. This is the name of the card. There's a number that's printed right underneath that tells you how many of that card is in the deck. So Shiny has 3 cards in the deck is basically the information I can deduce from this. What this basically means is once at the end of the game we take all the cards from our stash, we'll sort of like sequence it out based on all the common ones that we have. So, you know, I may do something like, you know, let's say I have a Nanners card and then I have 2 Nanners card in there, so I'm gonna make a row for this. If I had multiple fish cards, I could make a row for that and so on. So I'm gonna do that for all the cards I stashed. My opponent will do that for all the cards they had stashed. You will look at who has the most of each one of these cards. That person will score the value at the very top. Whoever has the second most scores the middle value, and whoever's third scores the bottom value. So in this case, whoever has the most shiny cards will score 3 points. But second and third will score 0. Ties are somewhat friendly. So in this particular case, if 2 players are tied for first place, they will score the value printed minus 1. So in this case, both the players will score 2 points each. And then whoever comes in turn or in the sort of like the set collection aspect after that is considered second, and they will score whatever the second value is in that case. Over here, obviously, this is 3 and then 0 and 0, so second and third players don't do anything, but you would have other sets such as the fish, which will score 5, 3, and 1. So it becomes important for those sets because you could accumulate points from second and third places, and that could make a difference in the game as well. So that is what you're looking to do for endgame points, and that is the only endgame point that you really care about. The other card that gives you points that does not have a banner is the Blamo card. What this basically does is, there is no banner here as you can see, but it gives you an action. But if you do not do the action and you stash the card instead, each card that is stashed will score you 1 point. So at this point, you no longer care about majority or who has how many of these. Each Blamo card is worth 1 point. So that's how the set collection aspect of it works and how you're scoring up at the end of the game. Let's have a look at what the card actions are. And I had set aside a hand of cards which has examples of each one of the cards that come in the game so that we could have a look at it. So there are 8 different cards that come in the game. And let's have a look at them one by one. So starting with Shiny. Any card can be played for an action on your turn or an opponent's turn. Just read the description of the action and that pretty much will give you a sense on when that works. 2 of the cards are played on somebody else's turn. And I'll point those out when it comes out of the pile over here. But the other cards are played on your turn. And you can play as many cards as you want and do as many actions as you're legally allowed or able to, basically. So if you play this one, it would go into a discard pile separate from the trash can. This allows you to steal a stash card from another player. So you're taking somebody else's stash card and putting it in your hand. Next up, you have Fish. This basically allows you to pick up a card from the draw pile, so discard pile. So discard pile information is discard pile is supposed to be public information, so you can go through those, pick up a card, and take it in your hand if you play this. Yum Yum. It forces a player to continue rolling. So remember how we had said that you can choose to stop at any point when you don't feel like continuing to roll. You can play this on somebody else's turn and force them to keep on going. So this is an example of a card that is placed on another player's turn. Nanners. Ignore your last roll and choose to stop. So if for any reason after you've rolled you bust, you can play this card ignore the roll that had shown up, but at that point you have to stop. You cannot continue rolling. The other the other card that lets you do something slightly different is the Blammo card. You can re-roll your last die. So if you had trusted, you can play this card, re-roll the last die. So you have to re-roll at that point. You cannot choose to stop if you played the Blammo card. Again, as I said earlier, if you don't play it for an action, but stash this card instead, it would be worth 1 point at the end of the game. Next up, let's have a look at the pie card. This allows you to resolve a token twice. So when you're doing, let's say, this action, I could do this action, play the card, and then do this action a second time. Next up, you have the dog and the kitten cards. So with the steal action, where you're taking a token from somebody else, these two cards counteract that. So they are obviously cards that you can play on somebody else's turn, or you will be playing on somebody else's turn. Doggo allows you to block the steal attempt, and then you draw 2 cards from the draw pile. Kitten blocks the steal attempt as well, but you instead now steal from the other player. So it's a bit of a counter take that on this one, whereas this one just blocks it and then allows you to draw 2 cards. So those are all examples of all the cards that come in the game. There's, I believe, 8 of them, if I'm not mistaken. So the game will continue in this way, round and round, until we get to a point where somebody needs to draw a card, but they're not able to. When that happens, that means that that is the last turn of the game. You do not complete that round, so it is possible that not everybody may have the same number of turns. That player will finish their turn, and then end scoring basically happens. And for end scoring, all you're doing is you're laying out the cards in rows or columns of the same cards each, looking at who has the most of them, and then score points based on the tier for each type of card that comes in it. I should point out, it should have been obvious, but Doggo and Kitten cards do not have any points, so they won't get you anything. All of the others will score you points based on the banner symbol here at the top left, except for the Blammo card, which just gets you 1 point for each one that you've stashed. Once you have divided up, again, keeping in mind the rules around the tie that I'd spoken about earlier, whoever has the most points wins. A couple of quick housekeeping items before I end this. So I'd said that if somebody busts, you get to draw 1 card from the draw deck. The other rule to keep in mind is whenever you're playing cards for actions, they cannot be cards you had picked up on that turn. So they must be cards you already had at the start of the turn. So if an action allowed me to get this card from the draw pile, I cannot use this as to use its action ability on the same turn itself. It has to be there from the very start. So with that, I think we've gone through pretty much everything. Those were the rules. Hopefully it helps out. Let's go back to the table for some final thoughts and comments. So that was the rules explanation. Unlike some of my other reviews, I've actually gone through the full set of rules, and it is on ditto almost the same video that I have for the rules explanation. So if you've seen it, you don't need to go through that. You pretty much know how to play the game at this point. With that said, let's jump into the review section for this one. And I personally have a bit of mixed feelings about the game, and I'll go into it why. Let's maybe start off with some housekeeping items as far as the game itself is concerned. So first of all, production quality. It is an inexpensive game, and considering that, the component quality are fine. They are what you would expect for a game of this at this price point. The card quality is okay. These are not the best cards you will find in a game, but you know they work fine. And unless you're playing a lot of games with these, it should do fine. Should be okay. The quality of the tokens, these are light wooden tokens. They are what you would expect. The dice is decent. It's not bad. It's not a small die, but it does have sort of like harder edges. So it doesn't roll quite a lot. So if you're somebody who is very fussy about the roll quality of a die, then keep that in mind. But again, if you're playing this game, chances are it's probably not the first concern that you have in mind. So production quality, as I said, is okay considering the quality of the game that you're getting. The artwork is nice and attractive. This game is definitely aimed towards a family weight audience. So it is expected that you might have a lot of kids potentially playing this game, and the artwork definitely would be appealing to them. It's a little cartoon-like animation, like sort of like artwork going on, so you can see the dog and the kitten. The dog might look a bit mad, for lack of a better expression. But honestly, that's the animation is it's quite kids friendly overall for the most part. They're cartoony, they're bright, they're colorful. There's not a lot of complexity in the game going on, so it's easy to pick up, read what you're supposed to do on the action, and you can do the action. It's not that hard. The art quality is good overall. Uh, yeah, so there's nothing much else I want to add as far as the physical components are concerned. Let's go into what gameplay is like. Uh, a lot of whether you like this game or not will, at the end of the day, really boil down to do you like games that have take that aspects or not? And do you like games that are heavily take that focused or not? If you like games that are heavily take that focused and you want something that's light and breezy, this might be up your alley. If that sounds like something that's a turn off to you, then you can just stop right here. You probably won't like it. Uh, there's a lot of take that going on. You're picking cards up from your opponent's hand by doing the steal action. You often force your opponent to roll again by playing an action. So I might be like, well, I think I've taken all the tokens that I want, and it's risky to continue. Somebody can just play that card and be like, no, you know what, you're gonna keep rolling, and then perhaps that person then busts as a result, and a good turn might just quickly transform into something that's completely crap at that point. So are you okay with that or not, right? In one of my games, uh, it was interesting. It was a two-player game. My opponent had, out of the 6 tokens, had gotten 5 of them. So they were like, well, I'm definitely very happy. I'm going to have a very good turn right now, so I'm going to stop. And then I played the card that says, nope, you're not going to stop. You're going to keep on going. And then they rolled, they busted. They played the card that says, you get the Blammo card that you get to re-roll again. And then they rolled and they busted. And they played, I think, 4 or 5 Blammo cards on that turn, pretty much exhausting their whole hand. And then at the very end, they ended up busting, and the whole thing went away. They weren't able to do any of the actions, and they lost more than 50% of their hand at that point, and they were not happy at the end of it. So, figure out if that is the kind of experience that you and your gaming group can take in their stride or not. If it feels like no, it's not something that you want to do, then I can tell you right now, it's probably not going to be up your alley. Even though it's a light game, it's a family-weight game, there is that take that aspect to it that you should be aware of. On the other hand, if you're okay with it, then this scratches a very nice filler itch for that kind of a game. It plays very quickly. In my experience, you're probably going to be done with the game in about 20 to 30 minutes. The back of the box says 20 to 30, I think, is where it's at. 20 might be, you could get it done in 20 minutes, but it's probably not going to happen every single time. Beyond that, the only other thing to be aware of is it is a family-weight game. So if you're looking for a game, you're okay with the take that aspect, and if you're looking for a game where you can have a combination of adults and kids sit down and play the same game, a game that's easy to teach, that you can pick up, this fills that sort of like a requirement pretty easily. The back of the box, in fact, does have language that says, that it is what are the things that kids learn as a result of playing this game, and it calls out the fact that you learn probability and decision making. Sure, to some extent, yes, you probably learned that there are 6 sides to a die, but then again, there are other games that you can learn that as well. You don't really need this game to teach you that aspect. So I wouldn't put much stock in it. But generally speaking, I think what I've spoken so far should give you a fairly good idea on whether this game is right for you or not. I don't think this game is for everybody. I might bring it out every now and then if I have some friends over who probably have their kids over in the far distant future. It feels like at this point with the COVID situation going on. But other than that, it's not a game I think I'll bring out a lot with my gamer friends. It's pretty light. For filler, I think it works fine, but there isn't a lot of strategy involved. I think luck is a big part of this game, so decide if you're okay with it or not. So I'm just going to end by saying that the criteria that you really should be applying to decide whether this game is right for you or not is very simply, are you okay with take that or not? If the answer is yes, and you're looking for something light and family friendly, this is your ticket. If you're not okay with take that, this is probably not your ticket. if you're looking for something that's light, family weight, or filler friendly, there's a lot of other options that I think might be better worth your time and your money. So there's nothing here that reinvents the wheel that you know would be going out and picking up the game to try it out. So that's pretty much it for me. As far as final ratings go, I'm going to give this a C plus. I think this does what it sets out to do. It is, you know, kid friendly, family friendly game with a bit of take that to it. But your mileage will very much depend on if that's the kind of description that appeals to you or not. So with that, given the fact that it's very audience specific, I'm just going to put it at a C plus and not anything higher. Not a bad game by any means, but perhaps a game that at least is not for me. So with that, that's it for Trash Pandas. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you have any thoughts or comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.